This is Eric, and this is Nabil. They have been best friends since high school. They are close friends despite having diverse personalities and upbringings. Nabil is constantly upbeat and joyful, while Eric is calm and thoughtful. Following their high school graduation, they made different decisions. While Nabil enrolled in a local graphic design college, Eric studied engineering overseas. Eric started working as an engineer for a Malaysian oil and gas business on 1st January 2025. A respectable salary and a number of non-cash advantages such as free housing, transportation and utilities are part of his employment package. These benefits increase his total pay, but they also affect his income tax liabilities. However, Eric decided to disregard the self-assessment system SAS requirement because he is still unfamiliar with the system utilized in Malaysia. In 2019, his best friend, Nabil, started working as a graphic designer at Graphic Lab. In order to prepare and file his tax return for the YA 2025, he recently contemplated getting rid of all 2024 dated documents, including bills, receipts, and other supporting documentation. He reasoned that since the electronic filing e-filing procedure for that year had already been completed, these documents were no longer required to be kept. However, the requirements outlined in Section 82A of the Income Tax Act 1967 were not properly taken into account when making this decision. So, what are the consequences of Eric's ignorance? First of all, penalties and fines. Under the Income Tax Act 1967, failure to submit a tax return or to comply with SAS requirements can result in monetary penalties. These penalties may increase the longer Eric remains non-compliant. Next, late payment charges. If Eric fails to declare and pay his tax on time, a late payment penalty, usually a percentage of the unpaid tax, will be imposed. Continued non-payment can lead to additional penalties. The third consequence is estimated assessment by the tax authority. The Inland Revenue Board, LHDN, may issue an estimated tax assessment based on their own calculations if Eric does not submit his return. This estimate may be higher than his actual tax liability, and Eric would still be required to pay it unless he successfully appeals. The last consequence is legal action or prosecution. Persistent non-compliance due to ignorance is not accepted as a valid excuse. Eric may face legal action, including prosecution, which could result in heavier fines or even imprisonment in serious cases. What actions that Eric should take to comply with the assessment system? First, Eric should register as a taxpayer. Eric should register with the Inland Revenue Board of Malaysia, LHDN, to obtain an income tax reference number. Registration ensures that he is formally recognized in the tax system and can fulfill his tax obligations. Secondly, understand and determine his tax liability. Under SAS, Eric is responsible for computing his own taxable income. He should understand applicable tax laws, reliefs, rebates, and deductions to ensure accurate calculation of his tax payable. Next, submit income tax return form on time. Eric must file his income tax return, e-form or manual form, within the stipulated deadline each year. Timely submission helps him avoid penalties and demonstrates compliance with SAS requirements. And last but not least, pay tax due promptly. After submitting his tax return, Eric should pay any tax payable by the due date. Prompt payment prevents late payment penalties and further enforcement action by LHDN. Moving on Does Nabil's action about his Year Assessment 2024 tax assessment documents is correct? The answer is, it is not correct. Under Section 82A of the Income Tax Act 1967 in Malaysia, a taxpayer is legally required to retain records and documents even after the e-filing process has been completed for a minimum period of 7 years from the end of the relevant year of assessment. So that's all, folks. Thank you for spending your time on this infographic video. Have a nice day ahead.